My understanding of the generic conventions of media text and my skills using different technologies has developed significantly since I made my preliminary task. When making my preliminary task of a college magazine, I only understood the very basics of Photoshop. For example, how to resize an object using the free transform tool and adding certain shapes for banners. My skills have developed considerably, and I now know how to use a range of the tools in Photoshop. I was able to use my new skills to make my main task more realistic and professional. For example, editing my images before placing them in, making sure all blemishes, scars or shiny areas of the skin were edited using the plaster tool so they do not look visible. This helped to create my model as an ideal self to my audience, so they are more interested in buying the magazine. For my main task, I did a huge amount of research into the layout of text of context pages and found the majority of mainstream magazines' content pages were usually very busy with a large amount of content in and lacked empty white spaces. I did not know this in my prelim task, and as you can see, my features are very large and spread out, with the text surrounded by too much space inside the boxes. I made sure I did not make this mistake in my main task and included as much information as possible, making sure it was all in line and neat, as well as full of information with limited blank spaces. As you can tell, I put a huge amount of thought into my main task compared to my preliminary task. I made sure my models were wearing stereotypical clothing of my magazine genre so it would appeal to my target audience, whereas in my prelim, I simply picked up a digital camera and took a typical point-and-shoot pictures of my friends in my class. If I was to do this project again, I would have spent more time editing my fonts for my double-page spread on Photoshop and would have made the layout for my magazine pages more original. Overall, I feel like my knowledge of how to use the technologies effectively to create a professional and realistic product have grown drastically. My knowledge of the codes and conventions and the magazine industry have heavily influenced the production of my magazine and ultimately helped my magazine look more realistic compared to when I had a lack of knowledge in my preliminary task.